Salutations, Exile. I planned my League starter build for Delirium League the instant I saw one of the teased cluster jewel notables. It was going to be beautiful. Spellcast loop, 10 million Shaper DPS, 5 Exalt budget, no boss-gated items. Then the patch notes are released, and the healing from Spirit Offering was not just nerfed, but completely removed. My build was relying entirely on Spirit Offering to not kill itself, so this change killed it completely. My beautiful build that I spent a week theory crafting was ruined. I resolved to make it work anyway. This is the most mechanically complicated build I've ever made, and I can say with confidence that it is absolutely not worth replicating. If you get a single detail wrong, the entire thing doesn't work. And work is a strong word. You've been warned. The basic idea behind the build is to create a spellcast loop with 2 Heartbound Loop unique rings and cast when damage taken. Historically, this is done with skeletons with an extremely low duration, but that requires at least 7 2-dust jewels, which severely limits the viability of the build. Additionally, if anything killed the skeletons during their extremely short duration, the loop would break. However, the new Blessed Rebirth notable makes minions invincible for the first 4 seconds. This makes the loop more stable and allows us to ditch the 2-dust jewels by using Raging Spirits instead. With a level 1 less duration support, Raging Spirits have a duration of 3 seconds. If we summon a bunch of spirits, they will expire exactly 3 seconds later, summoning another spirit with cast when damage taken, creating a loop. This is easier said than done. First of all, we need to get our cast speed exactly correct with respect to the cast when damage taken cooldown. Cast when damage taken has a cooldown of 0.25 seconds. But if we get our cast time to 0.25 seconds, the loop doesn't work. This is because cooldowns, but not cast times, are only updated every 33 milliseconds. So cast when damage taken's cooldown is actually 0.264 seconds. And if we get increased cooldown recovery rate, it needs to bring the cooldown to 0.231 seconds to have any effect, or it'll round up. This means our cast time to aim for is 0.264 seconds. In addition to that, we need to ensure we have at most 24% physical damage reduction against a 700 physical damage hit, so we take 532 damage and trigger a level 1 cast and damage taken, which requires 528 damage taken. This also means that we are taking 2015 physical damage per second that we have to mitigate. Before Spirit Offering was nerfed, we could use that, but now we need to use other methods. The Mauve Conquest unique helmet recovers up to 20% of damage taken as life over 4 seconds, making it great for mitigating sustained low amounts of damage. This value is affected by life recovery rate, so we get 44% increased life recovery rate from a Fertile Catalyst Elder Leather Belt and the Bone Barrier Necromancer Ascendancy node, which also gives 10% physical damage reduction and the Bone Armor Guard skill, which by the way can be used without messing up the loop and provides bleed immunity for some reason. Anyway, the Mauve Conquest ends up mitigating 28.8% of the loop's damage. We also use Mind Over Matter to take 30% of the loop damage as mana, and use the Battle Rouse notable and a Clarity Watcher's Eye to gain most of that back. Delirium also removed the similar mod from jewels completely, which we could have used to get over 30%. Between our regular mana regen and the recovery from the Disciple of Kitava Keystone, we make up the difference. This means that we've mitigated 58.8% of the loop's damage, and still have to obtain 830 life regeneration per second. We get 2.8% life regen from the passive tree, which is clearly not enough. We can get 2% as an enchantment on our boots, because we have always been hit recently. We can get the Life from Death notable on the same cluster jewel, which gives us 2% per notable, because a spirit has always died recently. The rest I got from an Elder or Hunter marble amulet with 20% life quality and a life regen anoint. Overall, you need about 11% life regen with 6k life. Consecrated Ground gives 6% life regen, and the build does use Zealotry, so this Watcher's Eye is perfectly suited for the build, but expensive and ultimately unnecessary. All of that just to replace Spirit Offering. To start the loop, we unsocket cast when damage taken, weapon swap to wands with our precisely calibrated cast speed, cast 12 spirits, then quickly resocket cast when damage taken and swap back. The process takes about 5 seconds. Now that we have the loop working, What do we do with it? We can scale our cast speed with the Corpse Pack Necromancer node by triggering Desecrate and Volatile Dead with Spell Cascade. The effectiveness of this build can be measured in corpses detonated per second. That's pretty metal. With this setup, we can achieve about 200% increased cast speed from that node alone. What can we do with all that cast speed? We need to find the spell that does the most damage while having the lowest base cast time. Flame Surge has a cast time of 0.5 seconds and does nearly double damage to burning enemies. With this amount of Volatile Dead spam, everything is always burning. Any other spell in this setup would do less than half the DPS. With the budget gear I'm using, we can achieve over 5 million Shaper DPS. I didn't see a need to spend any more currency, because despite all these fancy numbers, the build has one fatal flaw. Raging Spirits are not like other minions. Convocation does not work on them, and they do not teleport to you if you move too far away. This means that if you get too far away, they will stay in the off-screen void, where calculations tend to stop. If they expire while in the void, you will not take damage from Heartbound Loop. So you need to move so slowly that a spirit that lasts 3 seconds will never be off screen. This build's clear speed is GGG approved because you can't move faster than this without breaking the loop. Also, if you go through any area transitions, either the grace period will break the loop if you don't cancel it within a quarter of a second, or it will despawn all the spirits instantly. The only redeeming quality of this build is that it's totally metal. Just listen.